Hello, blessed souls. I am the magical medium. Welcome to this channel. Today we are getting spiritual guidance from the witches again. They have been coming out in droves. I have so much stuff I want to talk to you guys about and so many things I want to share with you, but it's not going to happen today. So stay tuned. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Also follow me on TikTok. I'm doing different readings there. I'll put a link below, but I just did a really awesome reading for the tribe on TikTok yesterday. So I'll put a link to it. And you don't have to be on TikTok to watch it, okay? So listen. You guys, this reading is so amazing. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. We are using the Seasons of the Witch Oracle, the Samhain version. So far, she has Samhain, Yule, and Ostara, but I don't believe she has, I don't think she has a summer one yet. Like, she's been doing one for each season. But yeah. So there's a lot of cool things going on there. And then also we're going to be using the Making Magic Oracle deck by the Priestess Moon. I just realized, oh, wait, hold on. I was going to say, I'm like, I wanted to give a shout out to the Seasons of the Witch. And I was like, wait. So it's by Lorraine Anderson, Juliet Diaz, and the illustrations are by Giada Rose. So three beautiful goddesses created this deck. So that's the deck before you, is the Seasons of the Witch. Now, if you have already looked in the description box, you know, but if you haven't, Spirit named these Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. I was like, what? That's crazy town. Awesome. So if you're pulled to one of those more than the other, or maybe it's just the way, you know, the lighting is hitting something, whatever it is, you feel free to go down to the description box right now and go to the link to your reading. If you're new here, welcome to the new subscribers. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to our regulars who have been here for a long time or have just joined as well. So what I do is I do reading links. I don't do I used to do timestamps, but I was called to start doing links, and it made a lot of sense to me. I was like, I get that. Like, that makes sense. So in this particular scenario, in this reading, we are working with the waning crescent energy. And the waning crescent energy is the last phase, the 8th phase in the moon cycle. To me, it's one of the most important. And I kept seeing like the infinity symbol, like the number 8, if it was like sideways. I kept seeing that earlier, but I wasn't putting it together that, yeah, of course, this is the waning crescent moon reading. This is, you know what I mean? Like, it's the 8th moon cycle, but it's right before we go completely dark in the new moon, and it's the rest and restore phase. So I just did a kind of a, not generic, but I did like a basic you know, messages from what you need to hear from Spirit, because I feel like right now, with so much that's gone on in the last month, a lot of us really feel beat to shit. It's been rough astrologically. If you're an empath or a sensitive, you know that. If you found your way here, I get you. Also, when I looked down, it was 323, so angel number 323. And for those of you who are new here, anytime I throw something out there, that is for you to research on your own, okay? Also, in the description box below, at the bottom, underneath the reading links, I always put readings recommendations. And that is anything that was spoke about in this beginning, or anything that was spoke about in the individual readings themselves, if Spirit wants me to highlight it. Sometimes it's just for you, like when you're listening to a reading, you take notes, you know. So for those of you who've been with me a long time, and those of you who are on my Patreon, last year I joined Patreon, and I got this vibe from Spirit, like it was going to be like this, you know, it was going to transform my life, you know. So of course, at the time I'm thinking, oh, money, yeah, like this is how it's going to work. I'm a teacher, this, you know. And then it ended up being 3 tribe members and myself, which was Anna, Jessica, and Bailey. And the 4 of us were the only ones that were on Patreon, but it was okay because there was something really special about what we went through together in a learning process. And Spirit had me work with I don't know if you'll be able to see it, and I don't want to burn anything, but the Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, okay? You can see I use mine quite a bit. But what we did was we did readings, and then also we worked with different herbs and plants and things like that. So much so that Spirit actually had me get Scott's second book. May he rest in peace. May his soul rest in peace. Or maybe he's somewhere doing something awesome. He's gone now. But The Secret Craft of the Wise Magical Herbalism. This is a really good one too. Some people say the second book is the same. I don't agree. I think there, of course, there's similarities. They talk about the same things, but they just go into a more interesting. I don't even want to say too much. I'll just let you decide. I'll put them below in the links, and you can try and find it at your local bookstore or the library. If you don't want to pay for it, you can find it at the library. Most likely, it's a really old book. It's been around forever. At least the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs was the first one that Scott did, and I don't know I don't know how long in between was the second one. I'll find out eventually. But anyway, with that being said, what we did was we did like this learning process, and I was like teaching, and then we would do a reading for the collective. And for months, Spirit has been, pushing me to do certain things, and then it was like, last year at the end of the year, they're like, okay, now get off Patreon. And I'm like, okay. Like, I feel like I've done this and I've done that. And I've done this and I've done that. But that's my human ego that keeps questioning things, that keeps questioning Spirit, which is, why am I questioning Spirit? You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to question things, of course, but when they tell me to do something and they're really adamant about it, there's always a purpose. And it wasn't about me making money. It was just a place for, of course I needed, they wanted me to have a fair exchange of energy. But at the end, and all three of them are extremely generous to me no matter what. So, and some of you have been with me for a really long time. And anyway, so I just started to realize like what was happening, and it was like they were just waking my witch. Like, over the last like 7 years, my witch has been like waking. And it wasn't until I had this amazing conversation with this powerful wizard yesterday that I was just like having all of these epiphanies while I was talking to them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so magical. And I'm a very big mirror. All of us mirror each other in some ways, but if you're a mirror like me where, it's kind of 50-50. It's like people either hate me or they like me. It's very interesting. If they love themselves and they're in a good place, they love me. If they're in a dark place or they're not feeling good about themselves or life, it's like I'm the enemy number one. And that's okay, right? But it's taken me a long time to understand who I am, why I'm here, what my purpose is, because I was like pushed down, held down, and repressed by my family, by my friends, my coworkers, everybody, my teachers. I didn't have a teacher like me. I didn't have that, and I've been joking my whole life that I'm 50 now, and I've been joking that this is my life college, that I've been living my life college. But yesterday I was talking to this person about my life and like how I've become who I am and all these things. I started to just open up it was just like, why Jove, I think she's got it. It was just like, it's like everything came in and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, I know exactly what I need to do. I see what's happening here. I'm like, oh my goddess. So a lot of powerful stuff. A lot of things are happening, but Mercury is in retrograde. So it's a very interesting energy. We're still in it. Mercury will go direct a week from Saturday. In real time, today is Thursday. I believe it's the 26th. Yes. So, and my husband turns 50 on Saturday, so it's very powerful, and it'll be 8 years that my father has been gone. So there's that number 8 again. Wow, Dad, I didn't even realize that until this moment. Oh my goddess. My dad's been coming up a lot, especially even before this reading. He was a very powerful wizard himself and loved to cook and loved herbs and like wildlife. And it's just so interesting. Like, I was looking at my upbringing and like how when my parents got divorced, we were like ripped apart, our family, and my brother went with my dad, and my sister and I went with my mom, and just like it was just weird. It's how that like went down, and I stayed more with my mom and her family, and my mom and her family, we're always talking bad about my dad and what a horrible person he was and blah blah blah. And my dad wasn't the best. He was very narcissistic. He would tell you, even now in spirit form, like he knows who he was, kind of thing. But but now that I know him, now that he's been gone for so long and we've gotten to know each other as souls and not as father-daughter, it's been this amazing experience. And he's also like helped me learn about my mom and like how to forgive her and how to forgive him and how to forgive our family. So many of my family members, and like, because I realized I come from two long lines of witches, my dad's side and my mom's side, but they've been repressed over years of being American and coming, you know, away from the cultures, many generations away from the cultures where they came from, you know. And I have this really strong gypsy witch lineage, and I'm like, I don't know if that's blood and bone or just soul. It feels very much blood and bone, but coming from where my family's come from, I'm like, how can that be? But when you watch shows like Find Your Roots or whatever, it's like you find out you have some like random, you know, person in your lineage that you're like, wow, that's like, I didn't know that there was that in my blood. You know what I mean? I didn't know I was, you know, there was one of them I was watching. Gosh, I'm trying to remember who it was now. But you know, they're just like the shock in their face when they're like, I always knew I was Jewish. Like I always felt it. They're like, I know that sounds weird, but like I feel like I've always like gone towards Jewish people. And they're like, well, it makes sense. You're an Ashkenazi Jew. Like, I believe I'm saying that correctly. I hope so. If not, please correct me. Anasazi. I don't know. I'm like, both of those words are coming to me right now. So I don't know, whatever message is coming through for you. But, you know, it's important now we're like finding out what's happening and where we come from. And so if you've ever felt any type of magic flowing through your blood, your bones, and your vein, most likely you are a witch. Now listen, witches come in all shapes, size, colors. It doesn't matter. Ages, right? Like I am at the beginning of my crone. You know, even at the beginning of this, when I was pulling cards for you guys, these cards were pulled for me. The bat came to me and it was just like, it's time for you to like come into the darkness. Like it's safe for you to walk through the darkness now. You've walked through the, like I've been to hell and back, and now it's time for me to walk through the darkness with light. So I am going to be walking through the darkness with a lot of you. I am coming out of the dark night of my soul. And even though we go through different stages in our life where we go through shadow, we go through the dark night of our soul, you know, kind of thing, dark night of the soul, it's different for everybody. But in my experience, I realized what had to happen to me, what had to shed, what had to be completely, you know, faded away from my life and from my existence so I can truly become who I am and who I've always been, without this deflection from other people and telling me who and what I am and what my magic is. It's different for all of us. We all have special gifts. And even though we all may share many gifts, there's always something that each one of us has our own little blueprint that tells us exactly what our specific purpose is here. So the new moon in Gemini on Monday the 30th, May 30th, 2022. Whenever you watch this, always timeless, but in real time, that new moon is so special, you guys. Over that week from the 30th to the 4th, as Mercury is still going to be in retrograde, I want you guys to like really take some time and think about who you are, what you want, where you're going, being very specific with yourself of like, okay, what is pulling me where? Maybe you're being pulled to move somewhere. Maybe you're being pulled to, you know, away from certain friends and family. Maybe you're being pulled towards, you know, other things. Maybe you're being pulled away from your job and you know that you're meant to do something else. Whatever it is, don't question it, especially if it keeps coming up. And meditation is the best place for you to find that, in soul meditation and quiet. So each one of these piles, readings. Thank you, Spirit. They've been like working with me, right? But that's a lesson too. The more we retrain and rewire our brains to work the way that is conducive to our own self-being, our own self-worth, and our own self-purpose, the more we will get aligned to who we are. So it's okay to correct yourself. You know, they were very specific about this. You know, when I found, as I was doing work as a medium before I ever found YouTube and pick a piles, I barely ever even went on YouTube. I was on Instagram, Facebook, but YouTube was like, oh, cool, I want to watch a video. Oh, cool. There's a free movie on there, a TV show. But like, I did not peruse, hang out. It was not my thing. When Spirit called me to go on YouTube, it was like bit by bit by bit. And it used to be called Lula's Labyrinth. And then it transferred over to the magical medium as I was like changing myself. And of course, I'm Tallulah Kelly. My name is Lula. You can call me Tallulah or Lula, whatever feels comfortable for you. But also, they wanted me to show people like who I was, but but work my stuff out in the public eye to show people that you can do that too. You can show yourself in the world, you know, raw and uncut, unfeathered, untethered, you know what I mean? Just like being your true self. I had a situation yesterday that afterwards I said to my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, do you think I said too much? I was like, and he's like, I think you're a little nervous. And I was like, yeah, I know. And it was like this great moment. And I said, I don't know. I said, I'm just feeling things. And he's like what? And I'm like, well, I'm feeling shame and guilt a little bit. And he's like, why? And I said, because maybe I didn't need to say this or talk about that or blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and it's just like the look on his face was, you were being yourself and you didn't say anything that was offensive or whatever. He's like, you were being yourself and you were speaking your truth. And the one thing that I said to that person as well was, you know, I'm only talking about these things from my level of consciousness, you know. And that's really the truth. And Deepak Chopra gave me that, you know, in meditation years ago. And it's just stuck with me for so long because it really does make a difference about our levels of consciousness and where we are, because each individual is at a different place. You may be similar to somebody, you know, it's like if consciousness was like 1 to 100%, you know, you might be around 50% with somebody, but it's still going to be from your experience, through your eyes, through your heart, through your mind, through your soul. And we're really realizing now how much individuality is important. And you know, I did not want to get on TikTok. It was like I was very much resistant to it. And now I'm feeling like how spirit is kind of pulling me out of my shell a little bit and having me express myself in fun ways, interesting ways, things that will, you know, they're like, it's not about you. If it was about you, it would say Tallulah Kelly, or it would still say Lula's Labyrinth. They're like, you're the magical medium. That's exactly your job, is you're expressing your minds and your thoughts from your level of consciousness through the mediumship that is your soul knowledge that was given to you. And they're like, you're translating messages from us too, and everybody is going to understand things differently, right? Like 10,000 people can see the same thing and walk away and go back and talk to somebody, and they're going to get 10,000 stories, right? Because it's like the telephone game. Have you ever heard about that? Where it's like, if you tell one person something and then you ask them to pass it on to the next person, and then by the time you get to like the 10th, 20th, 100th person or whatever, the story has changed. Usually people have, you know, changed the words, or, you know what I mean? And sometimes people don't even know they're modifying the words or modifying the situation. So that's what I'm trying to say to you. So be really mindful of your mind, or of your thoughts and your intuition and your energy. Your energy is the most important thing. Submerging yourself in an energy field that is conducive to your healing process, because you're either coming out of the dark night of the soul, you are beginning the dark night of the soul, or you're smack dab in the middle, and all are okay. And I love that we're working. I mean, I literally started putting this together, and all of a sudden I heard, "Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme." And I was like, and then I was like, that's funny. I'm like, I've got 4 piles, parsley, sage. I'm like, and then I was like, oh, yes. I'm like, that makes sense. And then when I started, I don't know what the cards are specifically, you know, in each reading, but the cool thing is that I realized that there was a reason for each one. You know, like and we're going to learn about each one at the beginning of the reading, and then we're going to pull cards. So it's like 4 separate readings, whichever ones you're pulled to. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. But I realized that this is how Spirit wants me to do readings, through an educational process. And sometimes I'm sharing my stories. It's been, to be honest with you, it's been hard to share my personal stories, as the last, I don't know how many readings they've asked me to do that. It's been, I've felt more vulnerable than I have ever felt before, which is interesting because I feel stronger than I've ever felt before. But at the same time, I'm at this place where I'm feeling very private and I don't want to share too much. But at the same time, my husband and I and my personal experiences have been so profound and so intense. I understand why so many of you have texted, emailed, called me, messaged me through here on YouTube, you know, and told me, you know, thank you so much for sharing your story, because I'm going through something similar and I feel like I'm going crazy, and you know, and I'm like, you're not crazy. 1914, by the way, angel number. So you're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. you are transitioning and you are changing. And some of you are waking the witch really fast. You're waking up really fast. And some of you, you're taking a little bit longer than others. But most of the time, when it's taking a little bit longer time than others, it's because you're resistant. You're having a resistance to change. Like spirit is like throwing a gazillion things in your face, but it's like until you actually do it, until you actually, you know, do the work and make the changes and make the effort, you will stay in your endless merry-go-round, you know, that just goes round and round and same shit, different day. And it's good one day and then not good, then good one day. And it's like, I know for myself, one of the things I had said to my husband was like, I cannot live on this roller coaster anymore. I'm like, I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down. I'm like, I feel, you know, like this kind of manic depressive, you know, when I was growing up, they told me I was bipolar. And what I realized now as an empath is that me as a person, I'm actually quite introverted and quiet. Like I'm the type of person, I almost said type of child. Isn't that interesting? But I was, that could just go play by myself or go play in the woods or go play with an animal and like have the same experience that somebody would have hanging around with a group of friends. And, you know, it's like I started to realize who I really am at my core. But how all the people around, and this, by the way, is not me like, oh, I'm so perfect. No, not at all. But what I realized when I really got into the nitty gritty of everyone, when Spirit had me work with all these different energies and entities and people in my life growing up that I didn't realize were having such an effect on me, their energy made it appear as if I was bipolar. Because I was up, I was down, I was up, I was down. But it's because they were up, they were down, they were up, they were down. And there was 5 human beings in my household growing up, my parents and my 2 siblings. So, you know, one sibling might be really happy and good. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then my next sibling's like, oh, I'm sad, you know. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, you know. And so it was like, and I would go away from that situation either uplifted or pulled apart. And what I'm seeing now and why this all had to happen and why Spirit has, you know, donned me this like kind of turquoise woman healer of the healers. Turquoise is connected with love and heart space and unconditional love. And I really feel that, you know, I really feel that. We had this experience yesterday where I was like feeling this person and just, I was like, man, I really hope this happens or that happens or whatever, because I think that we would all be, you know, good around each other. Certain energies would be good. You know, when I looked down, it was 2211, which is also the number 6. Woohoo. But I just started to really understand because I keep myself home a lot. I don't go around a lot of people. I have a lot of things like this. I love helping people through social media and through text and phone and stuff. But in person, it's a little more intense for me because especially so many people in our tribe are so powerful. And if that power, you know, it's like with great strength comes great responsibility, right? That's why they say that to the superheroes. That's why Uncle Ben said that to Spider-Man, because it is an absolute fact. So if we are these powerful light workers, but we're just going out willy-nilly into the world and just throwing our energy out there, 2254. Oh, it's the number 13, which is, yes, thank you, ancestors. Then, you know, it's like we're seeing now what's happening. You know, I don't even want to talk about, if you have watched the news, you know what I'm saying. And it's true. It's like, it's enough killing. It's enough, you know, danger, drama, you know, like children shouldn't be afraid to go to school. I mean, that's fucking crazy. I've never, I mean, it's just too much. It's too much. It's too much. And so as light workers now, Spirit is like, wake up, no more, like out of there, bye-bye. Like, that's not where you're supposed to be. This is where you need to be. And, you know, if you know how they say you can't get sober, like for addicts, you can't get sober unless you're doing it for yourself. That's absolutely true. And so the way to do that, to help yourself out of this, whatever it is, because it's going to be different for everybody, is to ask yourself and ask Spirit, how may I serve today? Each day, when you wake up in the morning, say, how may I serve today? I'm starting to get emotional. Thank you, Dr. Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer. I'm like starting to get emotional because he saved my husband's life. He really did. Ugh. That's another story for another day. But, you know, and it's okay to shed the tears too, right? we're in this rest and restore, but it's still at the end of the moon cycle, we turn around and we look back at this last moon cycle and we say, okay, what happened during this moon cycle? What did I learn from it? What did I gain? What do I need to let go of? And move forward and turn around from that and move forward and start fresh on a brand new moon cycle. So we have that opportunity. We have that opportunity. This new moon in Gemini is so blessed. Please research it on your own. I am going to be spending a lot of time studying astrology this summer. I feel like that is like the next thing that Spirit really wants me to work with. And for me to understand more, because I understand certain parts of it, but other parts it's like, it's hard for me. And I had that with math growing up. It was very challenging, but I realized I didn't really have good teachers, or I was not in the headspace to learn at that time. Because when I went back to college in my 30s, my professor, I actually worked with my math professor. He tutored me, and he taught me so much. And he was like, you're not, he realized, he goes, oh my gosh, you're not bad at numbers. He goes, you're actually extremely intelligent. He goes, but your brain goes so fast that you're either getting ahead of yourself and like, you know, inverting numbers. He said, or you've already solved the problem in your head and you're somewhere else and the numbers are jumbled up and you're inverting them. They did all this testing on me for dyslexia. It was free at my college. I went through this whole series for 6 weeks and found out I was not dyslexic. She's like, you are not dyslexic. She goes, you are extremely intelligent. And it was interesting because I said, yeah, I always wanted to take an IQ test, you know, and not because I'm like, but just because I've always been different and smarter, or like, you know, I just knew things before things, you know, and it wasn't even that I was smarter. It's like, obviously it's just because of what I am. It's my witch. It's where I come from. And I also feel like the dragons, the witches, the unicorns, they feel like the same realm to me. And for the longest time, I've been feeling like I come from the angel realm. And I think I do. It's a little muddy there. I'm still working with that, but I'm definitely a dragon and have been a dragon before. And I come from dragons, and dragons are it's like, it just makes a lot of sense. Like everything I've researched about dragons. And when I was gifted the Dragon Path Oracle from one of our tribe members. Thank you, Anna. I think, Anna, did you give me this deck too? Anna, if you guys don't know this, you guys really need to know who Anna is in our tribe, because, and you'll see her commenting a lot below. Anna's one of the most powerful light witches I have ever met in my entire life. And to talk to her and just to be in her presence is a blessing. But out of my 30-something decks, I don't even know how many Anna has bought for the tribe at this point. Like, she has been in it. She has been dedicated. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I know a lot of you have donated money and stuff like that. Thank you. I appreciate you. And please continue to contribute, especially because we're moving in a few weeks and we really could use it. If you can, if not, all the prayers and uplifting, you know, energy, you know, just to send our way. Sending good energy our way brings the abundance to us, so it'll all work out. But anyway, it does make a huge difference when we do that exchange of energy, when we give, because when we give, we always get something back. It's karma. It's good karma. It's just good karma, you know, lighting candles for each other. You know, sometimes you guys will text me, email me, call me and be like, hey, you know, this is going on, that's going on. Can you light a candle for me? I'm like, sure, you know. And say a prayer, because even though they're saying a prayer, they know like that I do this every day and I have a very direct line, you know, but we can all do that, but it's power in numbers. And as the witches always say, wherever two or more gather. And what that means is wherever two or more gather, power is created. Wherever 3 or more gather, and then 4 or more. And right now we have 281 as of this morning. It goes up and down. I think some people like subscribe and like when they want to watch and comment and unsubscribe. I don't know. But it kind of fluctuates. It's fun. And I think some people come and some people go, and that's okay. And I think we're getting new people from TikTok. So welcome. Ooh, 2838. Love it. So with that being said, I just wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of like what's going on energetically and where to put your focus in this rest and restore energy. And of course, like we said, we've got parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. So whichever one you're drawn to, and maybe it's the imagery, maybe it's the way the candle's hitting it, maybe it's the way the light is hitting it, whatever it is. Maybe you're drawn to more than one reading. That's okay too. If you're drawn to more than one reading, there's a little bit of medicine in there for you. But if you've never read my About section, there's a disclaimer from Spirit that says, always remember not to make something your story. If you're fighting with someone, a spouse, friend, boss, whatever, and you're like, I'm mad, and you like want to, and you're like, I'm gonna go do a reading or go watch a reading or whatever. If you are angry about something and there's something in the reading that brings up, oh, you know, this and that, blah, 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 you're like, yeah. If it goes to like a dark, negative place like that, it's kind of you not dealing with the underpinnings and the underlyings of that situation and that energy with that person. You hear me? Right? And it's about you. What did you say, Spirit? Yeah, it's like you're connecting with that because misery loves company, right? So you're like, yeah, that's happening to me too. When it may not be. Maybe there's something else in that. Maybe there was only 3 sentences in that reading that was for you. So use your intuition, right? Choose wisely, as the old knight said in Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade. If you've never seen that movie, that's a good one. Check it out. So those are the messages from Spirit for the collective. I'm very excited to go in more in depth with your cards and learning more. We're going to literally learn about parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme in each one. So even if you just want to learn about it at the beginning, but I don't know what they're going to do. They may have me pull the cards in. I don't know. So whatever feels good to you. Okay, you guys, all of my information is in the description box below. And if you'd like to book a one-on-one session with me, or if you'd like to purchase a recorded reading, if you would like to do any of that, email me at themagicalmedium@gmail.com. It's down below as well. It's in the readings recommendation. Under that, it's under the readings and recommendation. What did you say, Spirit? Also, yes, I am doing long distance Reiki. If you would like long distance Reiki, it hasn't been something I've offered, but it's something that I feel like I'm going to be doing. And also I'm going to be doing more shamanic healing in person. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest and you can travel to me, that's something we're going to be moving soon. I'm not sure exactly where our location is going to be or where we're going to be, but that's something that is definitely going to come into my orbit, and I'm really excited. Also 3134. But if you'd like to work with me in any respect in that way, feel free to reach out. Now, I will say this. I don't know how many readings I'm going to be doing over the next 3 weeks because we're going to be moving, right? And that's a big deal. We've been in our location for almost 5 years, so it's a lot of energy exertion, and I'm not sure where we're moving yet. So, I'll keep you guys posted or whatever. But that's why, that's what you said, Spirit. So a recorded reading might be better at this time. And it's like $50. And I literally do the same thing I would do with you one-on-one. It's just that you're not there, but you can send questions and ask Spirit what you want to know, what you're looking for, that kind of thing. Okay. And then they will answer all of your questions for you. But if you want to work with me one-on-one, then you'll have to wait. I have a few appointments that are still on the books for the next 3 weeks, but I don't know how much more I'll be able to handle. But reach out. I mean, if Spirit says yes, then they say yes. If not, then it'll have to be more towards the end of June, starting in July. Okay. All right. Thanks, you guys. I love you so much. I will see you over at your reading. All the information is in the description box below, and I will see you over there. Blessed be. Aho.